Connor McDavid is hurt, the world is ending, and it feels like you're in hell? Let's talk about it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Better Lait Than Never. Shit.
I'm not actually inside a women's prison at the moment.
The horniness just went up to like 11.
Good afternoon.
I don't remember who said, like, why were we talking about the horniness went up to 11? Anyway. Let's turn the intro down. Let's get down to business. Welcome to Better Lait Than Never. It is Wednesday. That means your favorite podcast is back. Fresh episodes here, all set to massage your ear holes. Are you excited? Of course you are. Got to give a shout out to our friends at the audio department. They are the ones that help me not sound like a total fool when it comes to my audio issues that I've had in the past. Theaudiodepartment.ca. Go check them out. Book some studio time. The audio department works to create a safe space for creativity and collaboration for artists and musicians to realize their potential and share their message through sound and story. Theaudiodepartment.ca. Hello. Welcome. Welcome.
Hello, Satan's here.
Quad's here too.
It's time to get another episode of Better Late Than Never in the books. We're going to talk about the McDavid injury. I was tempted to do a emergency podcast, but then at the same point when it happened, everybody was just freaking out. We didn't know anything. He could have been hurt for a half a day. He could have been hurt for what is turning out to be a couple of weeks, but we will get there in due time, friends. Trust me. I want to talk about it, and we are going to. We are going to. I'm not going to avoid you. You think that's what you pay for this podcast for? You don't pay for it, do you? Of course you don't. Good for you. Lucky. Lucky. Is this still recording? All right, we're good. I want to start off the podcast today with just a couple of random things. The first game of the season that I went to was the season opener. The Oilers lost 6-0. It was a horrible game. We all know that. You lived it. I lived it. We don't need to remember it too much. However, I was having those intrusive thoughts that I thought that maybe I'm the problem. Listen, and I still might be. If you leave me a voicemail and say, listen, Bag Milk, you're probably the problem here. You might have been the issue the entire time. I might buy it because here's the situation. After the season opener, that had made 5 consecutive games that I have attended where the Oilers lost. Let me think back, make sure that's correct. Yeah, 5 consecutive games that I'd gone to where the Oilers lost. I went to 4 games in the Stanley Cup final, and they lost all 4 of them. I thought legitimately I was the issue. So then Jay invited me to the game on Friday to go along with him and Tyler and my man Waz. So to see the Oilers shut out the Penguins, I felt good. I felt like my streak had been snapped. I felt like I was back on the right side of the ledger. I felt like it was what I needed to have happen. I watched 2 shutouts this year, and unfortunately the first one came at the hands of the Winnipeg Jets. Our beloved Oilers could not get anything past Connor Hellebuck. But on this night, Stuart Skinner was the one that shut the Penguins out, and he made some big saves. I'm going to probably defend Stu a little bit later in the podcast, a little bit anyway, because I feel like some of the hyperbole surrounding him is just, it's either he's a great goalie and you think he's elite and he can do no wrong, and on the other side, he can do no right. And I want to talk about those of us who kind of live somewhere in the middle. That's what I want to talk about. But we'll get there. We'll get there in time. So I went to the game on Friday. It was great. Tyler had to fly to Seattle on Saturday morning, so he did not come to the casino with Jay, Waz, and I. We ended up going in there after the hockey game. We're like, there's a couple of spins. Maybe we'll see if there's a table available. Maybe we'll just have we'll spend an hour in there. We'll have a drink and we'll see what happens. Next thing you know, hours had passed. And we were still in the casino. Then, once you burn through your cash, as you do at the casino, we decided to head home. And I got home several hours later than I thought I would. We had a great time, the 3 of us. Not only were we meeting random nation citizens in the casino that wanted to chat, that was great. We ran into some of Jay's buddies, chatted with them. That was a good time. And then we were just having fun. We were going from the slot machines back to the roulette table, back to the slot machines, and back to the roulette table. And when you hear that, you probably go, you probably blew all your money in a hurry. Here's the thing. I blew all my money, but it wasn't in a hurry. It actually lasted way longer than I suspected it would. So all in all, I supported the local economy. I had a couple of drinks, and Jay and I had a good time. So that was great. Then the Oilers won on Sunday. Feeling good. And then Monday happened, but of course we'll talk about that. The next thing I want to talk about was the World Series. I legitimately, and I said this on Oilers Nation Radio, we were doing our betting segment. I thought this was going to be closer. I legitimately thought that this was going to be closer. Now, I know that the Yankees won last night. It was a bullpen day for the Dodgers, which I don't understand in Game 4 of the World Series. When you have a chance to close, you can do a bullpen day, but I'm not smart enough, nor am I a big enough baseball fan to really understand how that makes sense. So the thing I want to talk about is the Yankee fan. Did you see this video? The Yankee fan in the outfield that tried to essentially rip the ball out of Mookie Betts' glove when he made a catch along, what would you call that? The wall? Let's call it the wall. It's a wall, right? Listen, I think it's a wall.
You're a fucking idiot. Are we really doing this?
So anyway, Mookie Betts goes to catch a pop fly. It was right there, a foot over. It is in the crowd, but it remained in play. At least he reached in. It was a playable ball. So then when he caught the pop fly, what was an out, a fan grabbed the glove and tried to rip the ball out of his glove. Now, this is behavior we shouldn't be encouraging. And yet over at ESPN, they wrote a full feature about this guy. They wrote a full feature about the dude who interfered with Mookie Betts, and they kind of celebrate it. And then as I was cruising around, is this just a New York thing? Like, it must be, right? Where they glorify fan interference? Because to me, when I see that, I go, don't involve yourself in the game. You're not playing. Like, let's pretend you're a reasonable adult here. But that doesn't seem to be the case. That guy's probably going to get high fives around New York or wherever the neighborhood of Yankee Stadium is for the rest of time based on what I could find, and it blows my mind. Like, I don't understand it. So I'm confused. And a lot of people are on the same page as me, including Awful Announcing, if you follow that account. Awful Announcing called out ESPN for glorifying Yankees fan who interfered with Mookie Betts and calling him a quote-unquote beaut. And I quote, the New York Yankees fan who blatantly interfered with the Los Angeles Dodgers outfielder Mookie Betts during Game 4 of the World Series on Tuesday night created quite the conundrum for media covering the game. On one hand, it was a unique play that attracted plenty of attention, especially considering the context of it coming in a World Series elimination game between two of baseball's most high-profile teams. On the other hand, it was obviously problematic behavior, which we agree should not be celebrated on. Yet, ESPN's Jesse Rogers did exactly that as he caught up with one of the two fans who was ejected from the game. Rogers revealed that he had chatted to Austin Capobianco at a nearby establishment where the 38-year-old was posing for pictures with other Yankees fans. Meet Austin Capobianco, the fan that interfered with Mookie Betts. Rogers wrote on Twitter, I was talking to him at a local bar when a bunch of other fans asked him to take a pic with him and for his autograph. He was a beaut. Story up at ESPN. All right. Rogers' social media post received immediate public backlash from a lot of followers, accusing him of glorifying Capobianco's behavior, which I tend to agree with. I tend to think that doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't really get it. So some of the reactions are pretty funny. Allow Satan to read them for me, would you?
No problem, I got you. So these are all quote tweets that we got around Jesse Rogers' original post that he was going to be writing a story about the dude. A guy named Chris Tower says, I do not think we should be making a cute human interest story out of this guy. Maybe. Hello? More for you, Cleveland. Says, never thought I'd see the day where an ESPN writer publicly celebrating and highlight a fan doing something so classless. But here we are. A girl named Kaylee says, group of massive losers, or so are you for promoting this nonsense behavior. Jaguar Gator said, we're really glorifying assault now?
So there was a lot of people that were not happy with Jesse Rogers for thinking this was a good idea for a story. And as I'm looking over at his Twitter account right now, let me see here. As I'm looking over for his account right now. Mop. Has he talked about the backlash? That's what I want to know about. No, he added. Austin Copu-Bianco said he got a call from the Yankees today about being banned. Was told if he or his friend try to get in with tickets, they'll be arrested at the door. Here's hoping it's a short-term ban. News. Major League Baseball has asked the Yankees to ban the two fans who interfered in Game 4. They will be refunded for their tickets, but they will not be welcomed back to Yankee Stadium. The length of the ban is still undetermined. From the head of Major League Baseball Players Association, Tony Clark, the MLBPA takes player safety and security very seriously, including and especially at the ballpark. As with every incident at the ballpark that affects players, we have been in regular contact with league security officials since last night's incident. It will be closely tracking both the response to that incident and protective measures taken going forward, beginning for tonight's game. We shall see what happens. We shall see what happens here, but I don't understand, man. Calling the guy a butte. Don't interfere with the play. There's plenty of other reasons you can be a butte at the ballpark. I mean, listen. Well, my take on it, I think that the video is hilarious. I admitted that I laughed out loud when I saw it. I will absolutely own that, and I will probably laugh at it again when I look at this video as I'm talking about this story. Let me play it here. It's so stupid. He looks so proud of himself, and that makes me happy. That makes me happy, but I think ultimately the lesson here is you're not supposed to be involved with what's going on the field. You are a shithead, just like me. You paid for those tickets and then you lost your money and now you're banned from Yankee Stadium for an undetermined amount of time. I assume you're going to be getting free cocktails based on the way New Yorkers are reacting to it. But I don't even get it in the sense that it didn't matter anyway. The ball was still called as out. Anyway, Yankee fans seem to like it. A lot of other fans don't really seem to appreciate the shenanigans. I am one of those people that I don't throw shit on the ice. I think you're an idiot if you do. Don't throw your jersey. Don't throw anything. The only thing I will appreciate if you throw it on the ice is a steak before an Oilers playoff game. And I guess with that in mind, let's get to the news. The news is brought to you by Star Mechanical, one of Edmonton's biggest locally owned and operated plumbing and heating businesses. They have been working within the community for over 20 years, and many of the homes built in Edmonton over the last 2 decades have had their plumbing and heating systems installed by Star Mechanical. Visit them at starmechanical.ca. Where do we start? Well, I think that we got to start with the Edmonton Oilers losing their captain for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Connor McDavid left Monday's game against the Columbus Avalanche.
You want to talk about how you felt about that game?
I really don't want to talk about that game.
Why not? You were walking around the house pouting like a baby. You were whining and crying like a baby.
I was upset about the result and the fact that Connor McDavid left the game after only 37 seconds.
You were whining like a baby and you don't want to admit it. Listen, folks, he was crying. He took his pants off. Well, the problem is actually this fucking guy doesn't wear pants no matter when he arrives at the house. But the pants were off and he was walking around with a hoodie over his head and he was sobbing like a little baby.
Well, I lost my bet.
You lost your dignity.
Today we got the update that Connor McDavid is going to be out 2 to 3 weeks with an ankle injury, though the timeline is not yet locked in. What I will say about Connor McDavid is any timelines seem to get cut short with him, but with an ankle injury, you want him to be able to heal it up right. Speed is obviously a huge part of his game. It's not just his brain, but his motor and his wheels that make Connor McDavid special. So if he's out 2 to 3 weeks, what does that mean? Our friend Jason Gregor, Yason, if it's a soft J, if it's a 2 to 3 week timeline, he could miss anywhere from 6 to 11 games. Who can they miss? Obviously, tomorrow night against Nashville, out. Calgary on Sunday, out. Monday against New Jersey, out. Then that'll be Wednesday against Vegas, then Vancouver, and that's at Vancouver on November 9th. So that would be if he misses 2, and then November 12th against the New York Islanders. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 total if he misses the 2 weeks. If it's the 3 weeks, however, he could also miss November 16th again at Toronto, November 18th at Montreal, November 19th at Ottawa, and potentially November 21st versus Minnesota back here in Edmonton. So there's a lot of games that are kind of compressed in there. We've got a back-to-back here. We've got 2 sets of back-to-backs in there, which certainly doesn't help. So anywhere from 6 to 11 games. Now, the problem is, if you watched Monday's game, and I hope you did not for your own sake, the Oilers did not look good without Connor McDavid in the lineup. Obviously, when you lose your best player and your captain, it is going to hurt. There is no doubt about it. But at some point, I was hoping for a pushback of any kind, right? Like, that's not unfair of me to ask, right? I just think that the players should have tried to rally. I was hoping like, okay, Connor's out. We didn't know anything about it yet at that time. I was hoping they were going to rally, and instead they got shit stomped by the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, Gregor wrote an article about how the Oilers haven't won at Columbus since October of 2018, or was it 2019? Either way, 2018 or 2019. I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm just riffing here. So we wrote that article that day, and I go, oh, well, could this be a trap game? Is this kind of a scheduled maybe loss because the universe is against us in some way? What I didn't expect is that the universe would be against us in the form of a Connor McDavid injury. He would leave after only a single shift, and that the Oilers would look devoid of life with him out of the lineup. There was no pushback. There was nothing to make you think that the Oilers were going to be in the mix for that game. Stu was garbage in net. The special teams were awful again. Yeah, they got a power play goal, but it was in garbage time right at the end of the game. The special teams were awful again. There was no pushback at 5-on-5. There was a bunch of posts. There was bad luck. It was like everything cosmic and universal that could have gone wrong in a single game went wrong in that game, and I was upset.
You were crying like a baby. You were crying like a baby.
Was he really? Was he really crying like a baby? Sometimes people say that Big Dave cries like a baby, especially above Vinny Desharnais. Last week I called in and I was suing him.
It was kind of like that, Quads. Like, listen, the problem with Bag Milk when he cries is he gets real emotional, real down in his feelings, you see. He starts eating peanut butter right out of the jar with his hand. He starts soothing in the worst possible ways.
Well, that's kind of embarrassing for a man who's about to turn 30, isn't it?
Well, I wasn't about to call him out for his age, Quads, but I guess you're going to have to.
Look, when you're young and spry like me, everybody's old.
Anyway, the point I was trying to get at here is that the Oilers did not look good with Connor McDavid out of the lineup. They have got 6 to 11 games on this schedule where they're going to be without him. Now, unless there's some kind of miraculous comeback, which is possible, I would never doubt Connor McDavid because he seems to do this every time if he's ever even banged up of any kind. Unless there's some kind of miraculous return, the Oilers are going to have to get the job done without him. They can't let the season go off the rails because Connor McDavid is out. Is it going to be more challenging? Yes. Is it going to be painful to lose him? Of course it is. Does it suck to lose your best player? Yeah, it does every time. But do they still have to go out there and get wins? You're fucking right. I hope everybody in that locker room looks at it like a challenge. Like, okay, Connor's out, but we have to get this job done. The last time this happened, Leon Draisaitl kind of almost went at a 2-point per game clip. And it kind of saved the day. We're going to need more out of Leon, right? We're going to need Victor Arvidsson to score his first goal as an Oiler. We're going to need Zach Hyman to score his first goal of the season. We're going to need Ryan Nugent-Hopkins to build upon the goal he got in Pittsburgh and actually get the job done more than he has been. Adam Henrique, looking at you. Jeff Skinner, need more from you, although I think he's been playing well. Defense, you need to fucking look like you've defended before. There's a lot of people right now that need to pick their games up and they need to figure it out because without Connor, there's no more just giving the puck to Connor and then hoping he can find you. You have to work, you got to hustle, and you got to grind because this team cannot stop. The show don't stop without the captain in the lineup. It sucks. You can't fill those shoes, but you have to hope that in aggregate, people can band together, say, we've got this, and go out and get the job done. Will it happen? Tomorrow night against Nashville, it's on Halloween. Nothing would be scarier than to go into Nashville again, get another win without McDavid, and all of their fans can wander off in their costumes and they can be upset about it. That said, the Nashville Predators are not the team that the Oilers beat a couple of weeks ago. They've got wins on the board and they're starting to gel a little bit. This is not going to be a gimme game. They're going to need everybody. And I wonder, too, like if that means we're going to get Calvin Pickard again instead of Stuart Skinner. Calvin Pickard, his last 2 starts have been over a .920 save percentage. Despite getting the shutout on Friday against the Penguins. .760 against Columbus was no good. 6 goals against on 25 shots. That is not starting goalie caliber. It's just not. We know it. Stu knows he can be better. I'm not saying anything he wouldn't say himself. But unfortunately, in the 7 games he's played in, 2 of them have been under 800. We had the 760 from the other night and then the 615 from opening night. And then another 2 have been under 900. Or I'll say 3 have been 900 or less. There was one dead even at 900. That was a win against Philly, so got away with it. Then at Calgary was an 893. Versus Calgary was an 893. At Dallas was an 870. And then the 2 best starts were against Carolina and Pittsburgh. Strung 2 together. I was hoping he was turning around. We need more out of Stu. That's plain and simple. You can be as good as you want, but if your goalie is bleeding goals, as he did against Columbus, you're not going to find it. You're not going to find anything that's going to recover that. Unless you're going to go out and score a touchdown every game and that's going to be the way you get around that. That's the only way that you can kind of make sense of it. The Oilers just need to be better. Stu needs to be better. Everybody involved with this team needs to be better. And I also think you need to get greasier. You need to go out there and just try and play a different kind of game. You need to go out there and try and get a different kind of result. It can't all be highlight reel plays. You got to get greasy. You got to hack the net. You got to get to the net. You got to hack the bone. You got to do all the things you maybe don't necessarily want to do, but that proved to be effective. This is a galvanizing moment for this hockey club if they do it right. Looking ahead, though, we did get 2 recalls this season. For this injury, I should say. Noah Philp finally making his return. We were talking about this on Oilers Nation Radio. I wonder if he's here for good, and this is just Noah Philp gonna be here now. Arguably, he won that job for the 4th line center after preseason, but Derek Ryan gets the veteran nod. I totally understand it, but I do wonder if Noah Philp is gonna come in and he's like, look, I'm big, I'm fast, I'm a right-handed center, I can win draws, you're gonna love me. Don't send me back. I hate Bakersfield. I hate Bakersfield. I hate Bakersfield. I can see it. I can legitimately see it. Drake Caggiula is here for a good time, probably not a long time. Welcome back, old friend. Though I did see you lost all your hair in your player photo. I didn't expect that. That was jarring to me. You look like a thumb. Handsome thumb, but still a thumb. I didn't expect it, sir. As a result of recalling 2 players, the Oilers are now dipping into their LTIR pool. They are not accruing cap space at the moment. However, when those players are returned or whatever happens, if there's a coinciding transaction, somebody else gets sent down, they will get back to accruing cap space. But for the moment, with those 2 guys up, they are not. So who needs to step up the most? The answer is everybody. So when I look at the new line combos, Bob Stauffer, courtesy of Bob Stauffer, this morning's at practice. The Oilers have got Podkolzin, Draisaitl, Arvidsson as the first line. You've got Skinner, Nuge, Hyman as the second line. Janmark, Henrique, Brown as the third line. Caggiula and Ryan were splitting reps on the left wing. Noah Philp playing center. Corey Perry on the right side. So those are new forward lines. Defense is still Ekholm, Bouchard. Now we got Nurse Dermott again. Dermott playing on the right side. And then Kulak, Emberson, and Stetcher splitting reps on that third pairing. Should be Emberson. Don't know why Stetcher's potentially coming out over Dermott. Again, the defense needs work. And it does look, oh, by the way, now that I'm reading this, it does look like Pickard is going to get the start tomorrow night. I don't mind it at all. Stu needs a reset. He needs something going for him. Maybe just sitting back and watching, just chilling for a minute is going to be what is helpful. It works in the playoffs. Calvin Pickard came in and got those 2 big wins, or those 2 big performances, 1 win and 1 strong performance against Vancouver in round 2. Stu came in and played really, really well afterward. Maybe he needs a reset. Again, you don't want to be resetting too often, but ultimately, after a 760, it is worth doing a little goalie change. Want to touch on the special teams. Currently, they are disastrous for the Oilers. And if all the things I had on my bingo card for them this year, a shitty power play was not one of them. Currently, the Oilers are 27th place on the power play in the league at 13.8%. And it would be worse than that had Matthias Ekholm not scored a goal in garbage time against Columbus Blue Jackets on the power play a couple of days ago. The PK, however, is even worse. Dead last in the NHL at 62.1%. When your PK is essentially a coin flip, you have got problems, my friend. You have got problems. How do you get around it? I don't know. But they need to figure it out. They are losing games specifically because of their special teams. Like, not the last game. The last game was a disaster from start to finish. Like, I'm not trying to say that, but like, you know what I'm saying. They are losing games because of their special teams. 27th on the power play. Historically good power play for years, it seems like. The best power play in the NHL over a span of what, 5 years? For sure. PK, well, this feels more like home. Frankly, when the PK is good, I'm a little bit like, hey, what's going on right now? Is something going on? Should I update my will? Should I file my taxes? I don't know. PK being bad kind of makes sense. I mean, not really when you look back to the playoffs. They were so good in the playoffs that now it doesn't make sense, but dead last in the NHL. Need to figure it out. So on the power play side, with McDavid out, we got some new configurations. These courtesy of Tony Brar. Unit 1. The interesting thing about Unit 1 is now, for the first time forever, 2 defensemen out there for Unit 1. Draisaitl, Nugent-Hopkins. Those are staples. Ekholm will be joining Evan Bouchard. I wonder if they moved Bouchard over a little bit further on the left side of the ice to set him up for a one-timer spot. I'm not saying where Nuge necessarily is on the sideboards, but I could see Nuge kind of taking some of the McDavid kind of wandering around distribution role. Do you put Bouchard over there for another one-timer opportunity? And then on the other side of the ice, you got Draisaitl for his one-timer? Listen, a big problem I have with the power play right now is nobody's shooting the puck. If you got 2 guys who are open for one-timers, somebody's got to shoot it, right? Maybe, in theory. Unit 2 has got Arvidsson, Skinner, Henrique, Perry, and Nurse. So that one's still got the forward configuration. We'll see what happens. Like, the Oilers did practice with new lines when Connor McDavid was still in the lineup, and they just went back to PP1. And I get it. That one's been so good that, yeah, try it again. I get it. Didn't work. So hopefully these new configurations could work. Because again, 13.8% is not what I had on my bingo card. Of all the problems I expected with the Oilers, that is not one of them. And yet here we are. Yet, even though we've got problems with the power play and the special teams, the penalty kill, Connor McDavid hurt. Sportico today released their updated valuation list for the NHL. The Oilers, according to that list, are valued at $2.4 billion. And that's USD, by the way. That is US dollars. $2.4 billion US dollars. If you remember back to 2008 when Daryl Cates bought the team, he bought it for $200 million Canadian, which is about $170 million US. So he essentially 15 times his money since 2008. I started working at Oilers Nation in 2008 as a freelancer. I was writing some stuff and I was doing it for free. So freelancer, free labor, more so accurate. I started doing this for ON in 2008. He bought the Oilers then. He's 15 times his money. I guess I did too because I was doing stuff for free. I now make $15, right? That's pretty good. That's pretty fucking sweet. Anyway, the Oilers are now ranked 7th in the NHL. They are one of the most valuable franchises in the league, despite being one of the smaller markets. I happen to think that's pretty awesome. A lot of it has to do with the arena, the new arena and the surrounding area for sure. Also helps that Connor McDavid is around. A lot of merch being sold, a lot of eyeballs on the franchise, a lot of people paying attention to the Oilers that probably wouldn't have otherwise. The teams in front of Edmonton is the Chicago Blackhawks at 6, LA Kings at 5, Bruins at 4, Habs at 3, New York Rangers at 2, and the Toronto Maple Leafs are the most valuable franchise at $3.66 billion. But for the Oilers' perspective, they had the highest year-over-year increase in value outside of Utah, of course. Utah kinds of counts because they were playing in a public skating rink last year. The Oilers rose by 51% in value year over year. Astonishing numbers. If you're wondering about the Canadian teams, the Vancouver Canucks would be up next at 1.73. They are 13th. The Calgary Flames, 1.58, rank 18th, though that will probably change markedly when their new arena is built. The Ottawa Senators at 1.14. They rank 29th. And finally, for the Canadian teams, the Winnipeg Jets, 1.1 billion at 31st. Dead last, Columbus Blue Jackets, 1.06. And they have an increase of 20% year over year. So there you go. Oilers worth a lot of money. If you have a couple of shekels on you and you want to pool some cash together, maybe we should buy a team. 15x our money over the course of less than 2 decades. Pretty good. Pretty good. Finally, to wrap up the news, I want to talk about the Oilers. They put out this tweet this morning, and I thought the design was badass. Our inaugural, and I quote, our inaugural Dia de los Muertos game is coming up on Monday at Rogers Place. That is against the Devils, as we highlight and honor another vibrant and diverse community and culture of oil country. The design is kick-ass. I think this is awesome. If they had this on like merch, I would buy this. I would totally buy this. The Oilers' Dia de los Muertos logos were designed by Cristobal Castillon, design lead, OEG Sports and Entertainment. Castillon says, and I quote, "I've always wanted to bring a little bit of Mexican representation to the Oilers, and with our Dia de los Muertos game, I found the opportunity to highlight aspects of the traditional holiday, such as the calaca, the skeletal figure featured on the main crest of the Oilers' Dia de los Muertos jersey, most popular in modern Day of the Dead costumes and decorations. The main crest is flanked on the left shoulder of the jersey by our friend Hunter the Lynx, who adorns a quetzal feathered headdress once worn by those in high power along with their deities within ancient Aztec civilizations. I hope this night brings joy to those within the Edmonton and Mexican, Hispanic, and Latin communities, and those who just love celebrating along with us. Ole, ole, ole." End quote. So that's coming up on Monday, November 4th. Again, the designs are awesome. I couldn't say enough cool shit about the designs. I might see what kind of merch they have, because I love sugar skulls. I love that whole kind of Mexican-y art vibe. Anytime I go down there, I always like seeing a street artist and seeing if I can buy something. These are cool. Really, really cool. And I like it. I'm into it. So November 4th, get your tickets if you want to attend that. But look at the merch, because the designs are probably going to be pretty cool. That's how we're going to wrap up the news. The news brought to you by Star Mechanical. They supply and maintain all major brands like Lennox, Carrier, Goodman, Train, and more. Team of tradespeople are highly skilled and accommodating for their customers. Offer 24/7 emergency services. Visit them at starmechanical.ca and help them help you keep your home running smoothly.
You are listening to Better Late Than Fucking Never, you silly cunt. And if hope is dead, so am I.
The big question for Oodle Noodle. It's time for the big question. Our friends at Oodle Noodle are giving away a trip for 2 on the Nation Vacation, which is sold out. It is sold out. Go into any Edmonton area location, enter to win the Nation Vacation. A trip for 2, courtesy of our friends at Oodle Noodle. If you want to join us, this is the only way you can attend. We have got the final week of entries for this contest. So you're in Edmonton, go to Oodle Noodle, get yourself something to eat. I recommend the hot box. It is my favorite thing on the menu. The last thing I got on the menu, however, was the Kung Pao. Equally delicious. Before that, it was the Jungle Curry. Equally delicious. Go get yourself something to eat. Get yourself some entries into the contest. Come with us to Denver. This is the only way you can do it. If you're hungry, you're especially hungry, and you're going into Oodle Noodle, you can get $3 off a Mega Box. Mega Box! From 4 to 8 p.m. Don't miss out on the deal. Mega size your meal today. Before we got the line combos at practice today, I wanted to know what your ideal first line looks like without Connor McDavid. I want you to put your hat on, your knobby cap. I want you to pull out your McBlender. And I want you to put together some line combos for me. So, again, these all came in before the line combos from practice. So, here's what we got. Our boy Captain Felton says, looks fine with 29. Lane G says, I like shifting everyone up a line. Nuge, Dry, Hyman first line, and then all the centers move up one. And if anything else fails, bring out the McBlender. Our boy Nick says, Skinner, Dry, Arvidsson with Rico, Nuge, Hyman as the second line. Another Nick, different Nick. I'm not looking forward to the 12-plus game losing streak, so other Nick feeling down in the dumps. Anna says, I've got Jeff Skinner, Draisaitl, and Hyman as the first line, then Nuge, Henrik Arvidsson, Podkolzin, Ryan Perry, Brown, New Kid, Janmark. Lyle says, I've got Nuge, Dry, and Arvidsson as the first line. Andy King says, first line, ? Honestly, I'd bump up Jeff Skinner, Henrik, and Perry. I get it, not sexy, but they have been the guys showing up so far in this poor excuse for a start. Reward your guys for their efforts. Orange Blue in my veins. This is Gary. He says, Nuge, Hyman, and Draisaitl. That would be the best case. Move Henrik up and Noah as the third line center. That's Noah Philp. I says Podkolzin, Dry, Hyman is his first line. And then Vance in LA says, let Draisaitl pick his wingers and leave them alone. Same with second line with RNH. Quit coach flexing and give them 10 games. Vance in LA is tired of the blender. Again, the lines for tomorrow, at least at practice anyway. Podkolzin, Draisaitl, Arvidsson, Skinner, Nuge, Hyman, Janmark, Henrik, Brown, Kajula or Ryan, Derek Ryan, Noah Philp, and Corey Perry. So we'll see. We'll see how long those stick. Your line combos were coming in. Kind of a little bit of a mixed bag there. I don't mind that. And again, if things don't work out, the blender will come in. But as Vance in LA suggested, stop coach flexing and give them a minute to form some chemistry. I also think there's probably something to that, right? So the more important thing is go into Oodle Noodle, get yourself something to eat, and please come with us to Denver. Come with us to Denver. We got a viewing party. We got tickets to a game. We're going to an NFL game. This is going to be a great weekend. The only way you can win the only way you can join us, I should say, is if you win from Oodle Noodle. There is one way. There is only one way.
Oh, Captain Felton with your charms. In your uniform, you're looking so fine and so true. Through the high seas and beyond. I'd follow the stars just to be where you are. Oh, I would sail the seven seas for love. With you, my captain, under skies above.
Here comes the dead stop.
You want to see a man, boy? I'll show you a man. Kick me in the jimmy.
For Trilogy Oilfield Rentals, it is time for the Righteous Sack Beating. Of course, Trilogy Oilfield Rentals are an established provider of tools and expertise across multiple oilfield disciplines, specializing in rentals, pipe recovery, abandonments, and completions. Currently, they maintain full-time operating units in Provost, Weyburn, and Kindersley. What kind of tools do they got? Rental tools, fishing tools, coil tools, drilling tools, mills and bits, completion tools, any tools for any job. TrilogyRentals.ca. I've got a guest RSB here, looks like from Dukes, coming up. But I'm going to start off with something that annoyed me this past week. And I get it. Listen, sports are sports and you love your team and all that stuff. But some people are assholes, man. I got to say, I don't understand people who cheer for injuries. Connor McDavid went out on Monday, and it's an ankle injury, and Oilers fans were freaking out, and they were obviously upset because why wouldn't they be? He's the best player on the team. Of course you are. However, when I was putting together the Oilers fans react to Connor McDavid's injury article for OilersNation.com, where essentially I was just cruising social media, finding some feedback, what people were thinking, and I kind of put the best that I could find, not the best, but like a sampling of what I could find of all kinds of takes, ranging all over the map. Some people were like, I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be fine. Oilers are going to be fine. To other people be like, cancel the season. What kind of draft picks do we got? I tried to do everything on both sides of the ledger and some stuff in the middle. But when you do that, and when you cruise around and you're actively looking for feedback on an injury, what you find is there's a lot of shitty people there. A lot of people who, guess how many were Canucks fans, laughing at him for being hurt, praising him for being hurt, happy he's hurt, happy the Oilers are without him, hoping he misses the season. There was, I hope it's his last game as an Oiler. I hope he's done for the year. Fuck the Oilers. Ha, ha, ha. Connor McDavid, he's being a big whiner, all this stuff. Like, you name it, it was in there. And I don't get it. I don't get it. And then at the same time, along the same lines, baseball's in the World Series right now. I talked about that off the jump. And Shohei Ohtani, one of the most electric and dynamic players in the history of baseball, put his shoulder out trying to steal a base. Yankee fans were tap dancing on his grave. I'm sure you've all seen the video of there's a watch party or something where Yankees fans are giving him the finger as he's laying down on the ground. And I get it. I get that you want the Yankees to win. I get that you want to win the World Series. I get that other fan bases in the NHL don't like the Oilers because we have McDavid and they don't. But like, being actively happy about somebody being injured is fucking bananas to me. And I think it says more about you as a shitty person than it does about anything else. Listen, I've probably in my life said, haha, when somebody got hurt for another team. But like, as I got older, I just think about it. I'm like, it's just gross. It's gross. It's gross behavior. Like, if you're going to win, you got to win. You know, when Brock Besser got hurt in the playoffs last year and had to miss game 7, we weren't tap dancing on his grave. We went, oof, that is a big miss for the Canucks. That is a big hole in their lineup. But nobody, at least not that I saw, and I'm sure there probably was, not that I saw though, nobody was like, ha ha, fuck you, Brock Besser, I hope you never play again, which was a lot of stuff that I saw on Monday with McDavid, and even more when I was cruising around socials after Ohtani got hurt. It is such a weird, depraved way of looking at sports just because it's sports. And I gotta say, I don't get it. And if that's you, give your fucking head a shake. If you're listening to this, give your head a shake if you're one of those people that cheers for other people's injuries. You know?
You want to see a man, boy? I'll show you a man. Kick me in the jimmy.
What do you got to say, Dukes? Oh, my God.
This RSP goes out to...
What the fuck is going on, dude? Are you doing this while you're pissing? And like, what is the flow here? Do you have some kind of prostate issue that needs to be checked out? What is happening?
Donkey volley.
What is this?
Hasn't really done anything last week or whatever to annoy me or piss me off or anything. But I just think in general it's still important to...
I gotta go ahead and say this fucking grossed me out, man. I don't know what is going on and if Dukes has a leaky dick or if he's shitting magma. I have no idea, but Satan is rattled.
Point out the fact that he's a bit of a cunt. Not in a good way. So, yeah. Fuck you, Donkey Volley, you dick.
As far as righteous act beatings go, that was probably the worst one we've had. Dukes, you take a crown. It is good to be number one at something. I'll give you the button, but I'm doing it in protest.
You want to see a man, boy? I'll show you a man. Kick me in the jimmy.
It's another week on Better Late Than Never. It's another week of Nick crying in the voicemail, throwing temper tantrums. He is a baby, so small and frail. Does he need a bottle? Does he need to be burped?
Does he need a diaper change? Cause why God is he such a little baby? Why God is he always crying? Will someone please give him shaken baby syndrome?
Ha 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 ha. Dangerous Wade, you are a funny man. The voicemail is brought to you by Nation Beer and our friends at Odd Company. We are pumped to partner with Odd Company Brewing to bring you the brand new Nation Beer called Nation Beer Everyday Lager. It's perfect for the next big game. It's perfect to be your next go-to lager. You can find it at Odd Company. They got 2 locations here in the city. Or you can go on Liquor Connect and find a liquor store near you that does sell it. If a liquor store near you does not sell it, go in there and ask them why they don't. Say, listen, I want Nation Beer. It's from our friends at Odd Company Brewing. We need you to bring it in. I want to order flats of it. I, myself, have a bunch in my fridge. As soon as I wrap up this podcast, I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to crack one, and I'm going to enjoy it. Because not only is it an everyday lager, it's just something delicious for me to enjoy after I finish recording a podcast. Make sense? Of course it does. Let's start off the voicemail with an anonymous caller. Who be you?
All right. So I'm going to label this one.
I'm of the mind to not let you do this because of how bad that RSB was. If I had a board of governors, I would turn over to them at this moment. But I don't, so I guess I'll allow it.
So you can spread them out. Also, I've caved. I've put the aircon on. It was 37 degrees today. So if you can hear some noise in the background, I'm not actually in a tropical cyclone. Although wet season's just around the corner, so maybe I will be soon. Anyway, just going back to what you said last week.
Can you, before you get into whatever you want to talk about, did you say you just turned the air conditioning on at 37 degrees? Like, I assume you don't have a basement. I assume that because any Australian house I went to did not have a basement. Maybe you do. But what do you do? Like, does it just get really cold? Like, not really cold, but how much does it cool off at night? Like, I'm flabbergasted by this. Anytime it got over 30 degrees, I had the air conditioner on in my house. Right? Now, I don't have central AC. I had those like fucking portable units, so they're not nearly as efficient, but still, I had the AC on. Anyway, back to you.
About, good luck hanging out with Tyler because, blah, blah, blah. I will admit that the first time I ever met him in real life, not the podcast, but like the actual, life that was real, he bought me a beer and we hung out. So I was bag milk. But also I thought of so anyway, to help bring you in.
Well, Tyler never buys me a beer. What the fuck, man? Bullshit.
To the circle of that Tyler and I already have that exists of being close personal friends. I thought next time I'm in town, why don't you just come pick me up from the airport and like we'll do it in the evening. We'll just drive to Tyler's house and you just drop me off and like the bit is like, I don't know, like as if we planned or as if it was planned that I was just going to be staying there and like he's really confused and I don't know, not letting me do it. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
I'm definitely not picking you up at the airport. If Tyler wants to pick you up at the airport, he can do that. I am definitely not doing it. I'm just going to go ahead and say that now. I would be more likely to pay for your Uber into the city than I would want to drive back out to the airport, grab you, drop you off, and then come back to my house. I'm being honest with you. I'm just being honest. What do you want me to say, Dukes? You want me to lie to you? I'm not gonna. Ben. Hey, Ben. I haven't heard from you in a while.
After beating the Penguins into oblivion, I've figured out one thing. We will never lose again. Hyman has not scored. Victor Arvidsson will lead the league in points. He had 3 assists. Stuart Skinner's going to have a 950 save percentage.
950.
And, oh my gosh. Stu actually played a good game.
He did. Played a great game.
I think he honestly kept, like, it's not like we would have lost without him. Like, we might have, but the game would have been a lot closer. Pardon my burps. But it's kind of crazy, honestly. When you think still goes from horrible to good. It's like...
All right. You're trailing off here now, buddy. Let's got another one from Ben here. Let's see if he makes more sense in round 2.
Okay, so once I was at Frogger Sports Card, I forget why, maybe to check something out. Maybe it was National Hockey Card Day. But, Oilers Nation intern. Oh my gosh. It's the guy that does Owen After Dark. Owen After Dark.
Aaron?
I saw him there. I was with my dad. I'm like...
Aaron's not an intern. No, Aaron works for us full time. He's a producer, not an intern. Maybe I should downgrade him to intern. Make sure he keeps him on his toes, you know?
Oh my gosh. Like, what's his name? Producer Aaron?
There you go.
Maybe? Oh, I actually hate myself.
It's Aaron.
How
you got
did I
it.
not know this?
Continue on with the story.
Because I know the name, and I said it. I was like, Dad, oh my gosh, that's the guy from Oilers Nation. And I went up to him. I remember this so clearly. It's amazing. My dad, like, kind of pushed me up to him. It was like, my son's a very big fan of yours. And he, like, said, that's awesome. And, like... We talked for like a couple seconds, and I gave him like a high five. Oh my gosh, that was amazing.
Aaron would love this story. I'm going to share this with Aaron. I think that meeting Aaron and you being that pumped about it, I think he'd be super excited to hear that. I just feel like that's the case. This one is called A Quote from Fake Jay. I
would just like to repeat a partial quote from one Jay Downton. It should be a scheduled win against Columbus. End quote. That's not the whole quote, but boy, did that age poorly.
Yep. It should be a scheduled win or whatever he said. I do remember it vaguely. Whatever he said was not what happened. In fact, it was not even close. It couldn't have been further from close. So, yeah. Jay, if you're listening to this, be better, man.
Okay, so speaking of international travel.
Yeah, of course, yes. Which we were.
I had an idea for some off-season content. Now, obviously, being a couple of games, or 7 games into the season or whatever the fuck it is. Fuck off, mosquito. Off-season content isn't really the focus right now, but what I was thinking, I think in the off-season, someone from the nation should be sent down on the company dime to Australia.
Agreed.
And come and just I don't know, hang out, experience Australian sporting culture and Australian sports bars, and I don't know, come see some Australian hockey and try not to laugh. And I don't know, just do that shit. But also I don't know. And I obviously will go hang out and take them places to get drunk. But I cannot see a downside at all. I'm sure that there's, $10,000 or whatever it costs to send someone down here for a week or so. Actually, your currency's worth more than ours, so it won't be that much. I'm sure the tens of dollars it'll make you guys in return is totally worth it. So yeah, thanks. I'll hang up and listen.
Listen, if there's a way where I can scam, and I say this quite literally, I can scam a trip to Australia on company dime just to watch some hockey down there, laugh about it, make some content with you Dukes, I am all over it. I will buy my flight today. I will absolutely be upgrading my seat though to at least the emergency exit row. That is too far to go. Have my legs all cramped up. So Dukes, we're going to have to factor in the emergency exit row upgrade into the cost of the travel. However, as I mentioned, if I can convince Jay that this is a good idea and scam my way into an Australian vacation. I'm with you. You and I will go on adventures. However, I'm still waiting for Waz to go to Jay and pitch he and I going to India together and filming content over there. Still hasn't happened. I assume that pitch would go very, very well if my boy Waz actually followed through with it. He, to this point, is not. He is not. Anyway, that's that. This one comes in from my cousin Brendan. Brendan, what do you got to say, buddy?
Hey, Bag Milk, cousin Brendan here. I'm just calling to talk about the game last night. Did anyone else find that game pretty hilarious? From Hyman not being able to buy a goal to save his life, and from like all the headshots on the goalies, like there was 3 or 4, wasn't there? And McDavid slashing the guy in the nuts at the end there. I don't know. I just found myself cracking up a couple times throughout the game. Just curious to see what was it like in the building for that. And, and being in the building for Nugent's first goal, that was pretty exciting. I was pumped for that. What was that all like? What was the overall experience of the night with Hall of Fame night too? Some of those speeches seemed to drag on a little bit. Just curious if you stayed for all that.
I am not going to lie to you, as they just took too long to get the ceremony going. Well, I left. I didn't see a thing. I didn't see any of it. I went to the casino. I didn't see a fucking thing. And the reason, like, Jay Waz and I, again, Tyler had an early flight, so we had to bail, but like Jay Waz and I intended on watching it. But as it took longer and longer to get things going, we were just like, casino. Because what I would have done was buzzer goes, get everything set up right now while people are still in their seats. For some reason, the game ends, they start flooding the ice like normal, and everybody left. So they kind of fumble-fucked it a little bit. To answer the other part of the question, the building was fun. It was great in there. There was some nervous energy and tension, especially in the first period when the Oilers were out shooting them like 20-5 or something like that and couldn't buy a goal. Nuge scored his first of the season right in front of me. I cheered very loudly. I cried a little. Tried to hug Tyler. He denied it. I'll try again. But it was a great night. Sunday was also fun, beating the Red Wings. It was a comeback win, an OT. You love all of it. And then Monday happened. So, you know what I mean?
All right. So I don't know whose was I have to punch to get some fucking nation beer, but like, how do I go about getting some or obtaining some in Central Queensland, Australia? Given there's only one place to buy alcohol in a fucking 80-kilometer radius where I live right now.
You're finding the other.
I'm going
the
to
answer.
wager that, they probably don't have it where, in stock. So, short of fucking taking 3 flights over a 24-hour period and, I don't know, whatever 1,000 kilometers it would be, just to pick up a pack and then bring it home and like drink it. Like, how the fuck do I get some? I feel like it's a cardinal sin against like existence as a concept, like not even just humanity, like existence as a concept, that I don't have any nation beer. Like, I feel like nation beer, well, Oilers Nation and beer coming together is like I feel like I'm the personification of that. Yes, I'm overstating my importance to that person who complained about me, but like, it's for dramatic effect to make my point. So, how the fuck do I get some beers up in this bitch, man?
I'm going to go ahead and say the only way to get it, or the best way to get it, realistically, is to get somebody here to ship it to you. But I got to think, right? Like, or I don't know, like Dangerous Wade, if you're listening to this, do you have a better idea than this? Like, Dangerous Wade is, given what he does with the job, he knows about buying alcohol either in bulk or just, for commercial purposes. Do you have a better idea than somebody shipping it over there? Because I don't. That's like, originally when we had Nation Beer, this was before you were a Nation citizen, Dukes. This was probably one of the first or second versions of Nation Beer. We did ship beer down to Australia. We had one of our old sales reps. His name is Josh. He lives in Brisbane. Wanted the beer. We would ship it to him. He paid for it. We didn't just, not just because we're cool dudes, but that's the only thing I could think of. If anybody's got a better idea than that, let's talk about it. I'd love for Dukes to have some Nation beer and try it. I would absolutely love it. I just don't know how to accomplish it other than that. And then how long does it take to get to you? You know, like if you want to pay, like if you pay the slow boat shipping, that's not going to get to him forever. You know, so you got to crank that up a little bit. You got to UPS that baby. You know, you got to FedEx it. The overnight might be some costly beers, but I can't think of another way, in my opinion. Benjamin, you're too young for beers, but what do you got to say?
Ari, you said like sorry for like the like Udo Noodle and him skipping like our voicemails. It's completely fine. No biggie at all.
You're multiple episodes behind, I think.
Don't worry about it. Hope you're having a great day. But yeah, don't worry about it. No sweat, no sweat.
I hope you're having a great day. I hope you have a wonderful life, Ben. How are things going? What grade are you in now? Give me a little recap. Can you get a full recap of what's going on in your life in a 90-second message? That's your mission for next week, Ben. I don't want any filler. I don't want any no ahs. Just straight give me an update on what you're up to. You got 90 seconds. I don't want a two-parter. I'm not going to play the second part. That's the challenge, if you choose to accept it. This one comes in from Kyle the Embalmer. Hello, sir.
Hey, BM.
Hello.
So I really should do these more consistently because all week I've been thinking, I got to leave a message. I wanted to say this. I wanted to say that. I've completely forgotten what I wanted.
Yeah.
Which is really going to piss off the email guy. So instead, let's talk about the beef. Again, fuck the guy who sent the email, but also who accused me of all people? Me. Yeah, and you're going to do it at a watch party that I couldn't be at because I had to be at my second job that day. And yeah, why don't you just come out and say it? Come out, throw it out in the voicemail, accuse me, and then we can go back and forth.
By the way, shout out to Kyle for being a great BLTN listener, for not only just calling out who called him out, but encouraging more beef in the voicemail. That's good for downloads. That's good for business. Kyle knows.
Other than that, since I can't remember anything I wanted to leave a message about, the only other thing I want to throw out and let you know about, which might not even matter anymore, Tyler Yaremchuk's ads for your Nation Vacation, when he re-recorded it, it says that you guys are going from November 29th to November the 3rd.
Yeah, we're going back in time.
Most people probably figure out, you're not going for an entire year, but I'm sure dipshits like Nick are probably like, fuck yeah, a whole year in Denver.
All right.
So anyway, that's all I have this week, and maybe I'll be better this week so that I can tell some more people off when they're trying to call me out for bullshit I wasn't involved in.
It's because you said you love me. The emailer said they loved me, and they thought it was you, Kyle, because you love me. We know it. Yeah, I encourage beef in the voicemail. I like it. In fact, I encourage it. Beef sells records, and I want to sell some records here. Next up, Nick, what do you got to say?
Hey, Big Monk. I was listening to the Real Life podcast, and I heard a take from Wanye that was so brain dead, I had to come on here and talk about it. So I'm going to play the clip here. I swear to God, this isn't the Rogers Raptor Red event.
If it is, you're banned.
Types of experience. Yes. So many people, so many super fans have had one of them. I would argue, unless you have those types of events, you won't be a super fan. Yeah. Like, if you talk to people who are hardcore into something, they have some sort of interaction at some point with a player or a coach, right?
Now, I don't think he's necessarily wrong. I think a lot of super fans have had interactions with players that lock them in for life, like you and Bill Ranford.
Yep.
But I also think it's a pretty garbage take to say you must have an experience like that to be a super fan.
I don't think he's saying you must.
I don't know if you know this one. There's a lot of Oilers fans who don't live in the Edmonton area. Like myself, I consider myself an Oilers superfan. I watch every game. I listen to multiple podcasts. I buy the merch. I've never met a player, so am I not a superfan?
Yes.
Or what about someone like Dux and Donkey Volley? Are they not super fans? I would argue they're more super fans than fucking Wanye is. Like, that's a garbage take to say, oh, you have to have met a player to be a super fan. What a dumb take. F you, Wanye.
I think I can't wait to play this for him. I actually think that you're reading too much into what he said. I think for by and large, some of the super fans have probably had some kind of interaction. For those of us who are a little bit older, maybe it was a Carnival of Champions thing. Or in my case, you mentioned the Bill Ranford exchange. If you haven't heard me say that story, I'm sure you have. Back in the day at Rexall Place, it might have still been Skyreach Center at that point, actually. You used to be able to go hang out outside the Oilers dressing room after games and wait on the guardrail for autographs. That's where you would do it. You didn't have to wait outside. You could wait outside the room. So Bill Ranford came out and signed my program, talked to me for, I'm going to guess, probably 30 seconds at most. How's the game? What do you do? Do you play hockey? Do you like it? What position do you play? Was that kind of thing. And he signed my thing. He signed my program, and that was it. And ultimately, that exchange locked me in for life as an Oilers fan. So we were kind of talking about some of those. And it was stemming from the retirement ceremony after Friday's game against the Penguins. And I just asked the boys about interactions they had. And that's when Wanye brought up the letter he got from Randy Gregg. That's when Jay brought up the interactions at the golf club with Mac T when he was younger. Like, we were talking in generalities. I don't think every superfan has to have that. But I think that if you did a survey of a lot of the mega intense superfans, they might have had something. And it might have been something small, like maybe they're at an autograph session or something. I think that's what Wanye was saying. I don't think you have to have an interaction with an Oiler to become a super fan. I don't think so at all. I really, really don't. In fact, some of my friends that are hardcore Oilers fans have had no interactions. They live in Saskatchewan. They're talking exactly what you're describing. So I don't think he was saying you have to, but I bet if you polled a lot of super fans, there would be a fair chunk of that group that have had something. I think. But again, I'm not in Wanye's head. Ask him. Oh, right. This is the only podcast where it allows you to give feedback in the podcast about this podcast, or as we're getting a lot of lately, other podcasts. This one just says, October has forsaken me. October has forsaken me.
I got interrupted and I didn't hit send, and I went back to hit send and the thing wasn't there anymore. So I'm redoing it. I'm sick right now.
You got two take Chad here.
I'm real sick. I've been sick for 2 weeks.
I've also been sick for a while. Like it's not like and I'll hear what's wrong with you, Chad, but like I've got like this lingering thing where I'm phlegmy and I'm kind of like, Like, I don't get it, because I'm generally trying to be a little bit healthier. Although I gotta say, Friday was not a healthy night. If you know what I'm saying, a bunch of beers ended up at the casino. Wayo! But I too have had this thing. It's just like lingering.
For sure, I had COVID, and then I was like just feeling better, and all of a sudden a sore throat comes creeping in. Tiptoe by the window. Sorry.
That was pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I've got a hell of a sore throat right now. Got wildebeest fighting in my throat. I've got nuclear waste coming up the old hatch. Not loving it at all. Anyways, boom, ranking them. I'm gonna rank the ON podcast. Have I done this before?
I don't think so, but I would love to hear you rank the ON podcast. If you're listening to this too, I'm on all of them for the most part. I mean, not the live shows, although I do go on ONE every now and then, but Tyler hasn't invited me on in a while, actually. Just because you guys fucking Louis DeBrusque and Tyler Ennis on the show now, there's no room for bag milk. I used to have my own segment on Fridays. Now I don't even get invited. Anyway, Two Take Chat is going to evaluate the Oilers Nation podcast. Let's go.
I don't think I did this. Anyway, BLTN at number 1. Even if I didn't mean it, I would still have to say it. But I do mean it.
Listen, if you don't mean it and you say it, that's all that matters to me. You can pander to me in the voicemail. I think that's appropriate.
But even if I didn't, I would have to say it. And then number 2, Wanya's World. Am I allowed to cross promote here? If you like this humor, you're gonna like Wanya's World. The guy's unhinged. It's I don't know what else to say. It's entertaining.
It is true. It's a fun podcast.
Real life over ONR, but to me they're very similar. Like they're very similar. Don't really differentiate too much. And then Every Day, yuck. I listen to Every Day when I've got nothing else to listen to. I'm just kidding. It's a good show.
I'm just kidding. It's a good show. I like that ranking. I think that's very fair. I'm curious. I'd love to know how you think ONR and real life are similar. I find them to be so different. Although the real life from the other day when I had to host, I did listen, behind the scenes, I had no time for prep. So I just kind of prepped what I would have for ONR and I just kind of brought it forward. And we talked a lot more about the Oilers on the episode of Real Life I hosted on Monday than we would have probably normally when Tyler preps, but I didn't have time. ONR is just, it's straight hockey, but we turn it in the ditch sometimes. I like to as much as the boys will let me anyway. We're moving along here. Cousin Brendan is back. What do you guys say, Cousin Brendan?
Hey, Bag Milk.
Hello.
I just wanted to clarify last week's voicemail.
Go ahead.
I will be 25 this December.
Get the fuck
if
out of
you're
here.
looking to get me a gift there, it's been a while. You missed my last couple birthdays.
Last 24 of them, I guess. 25, hey, fuck, I would have never guessed that.
Obviously, because you thought I was still 13. I think you're just getting old, man. Not Bag Milk. We should probably start calling you Old Milk pretty quick. When's, hopefully you don't know your expiration date yet.
How dare you? How fucking dare you? 25, hey? Yeah. I don't believe you. Show me your ID. There's no way that means that there's no way I'm that old. Woohoo! All right, last voicemail for the week comes in from Nate. We are working through the Odd Company voicemail. Proud partner of the Nation Network and home of the all-new Nation beer. Nate, what do you guys say?
So we know you like Arby's, Bag Milk.
No lie. Go look at my Instagram right now. I had Arby's last night. I had 3 beef and chads, if you're wondering. Fucking crushed them, too.
I like Arby's as well.
All right, buddy.
To the people who shit on Arby's, because a lot of people do, fuck you.
I agree.
Because Arby's is actually really good.
It's lovely.
Like, you get yourself a beef and cheddar, you're having yourself a fucking night or day. And whenever you're eating it, you're having yourself a time. When that cheese oozes out the bun, you already know. You already know. And I don't know about you, your Arby's by your house or wherever you go to an Arby's. The one by my house still has plastic straws. So that's another reason why Arby's is superior.
Nate, it's like you were in my house last night. Are you spying on me? I got Arby's last night. And I hadn't had it in a while. And I was like, fuck, I just feel like Arby's. So I went and got it. 3 beef and chads. And I got a Pepsi. Or I guess they're a Coke family now. Anyway, so I got a drink with my curly fries, of course. It was a big meal for Bag Milk. I crushed it too. Did I feel great about myself after? Not necessarily. But in the moment, I fucking murdered that. I too got home, opened my stuff, grabbed my drink. And I'm like, oh my God, is this a plastic straw? Arby's still rocking the plastic straws, and I love them for it. Arby's, I could have let that straw sit in that drink all day. Now, did I do that? No. I wanted to enjoy it when it was ice cold, baby. Wash down that beef and cheddar in my curly fries. But do you think that I could have appreciated that straw sitting in my drink all day because it wouldn't disintegrate in my mouth? Yeah, I would have. And you know where you get that? Like Nate said, at Arby's, because they are a fantastic fast food chain. We have to support them. They're somewhat disappearing in this country. They are plentiful down in the States, but up here, we need to support Arby's. They're disappearing, and I don't like it. I don't like it. In my lifetime, I've seen them leave. I've seen them go away, and I will not stand for an Arby-less life. I will not. I can't. I won't. Understood? Okay, that's where we're going to wrap up the voicemail for our friends at Odd Company. 2 locations in Edmonton. Swing by either of them, grab yourself some Nation Beer Everyday Lager, or go on Liquor Connect and find out which liquor stores are selling it near you. If there is no location near you, go into the liquor store that's closest to your house and say, please bring in Nation Beer, 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 until they agree to do so. Make sense? Okay. And there you have it. Fresh little podcast coming at you. Thanks for being here. Here's hoping the Oilers give us a better effort tomorrow. I'm going to predict a 12-1 win. And here's hoping that everybody steps up in Connor McDavid's absence. They need to dig the fuck in. I said those words on purpose because those words are on our banned list at Nation HQ. So I'm saying it anyway. Can't cage this bird, Nation HQ. Talk to you later.
Tie-tie, why won't you kiss me?